Welcome to the gathering at the Cosmic Fire 2025 Summit. Heart to heart, hand to hand, soul to soul, answering the global call to be of service. We're all beings of light, finding our way in the world, seeking support, connection, and seeds of inspiration along the way. Over the next 5 days, honored healers, teachers, and thought leaders from the world of shamanism and earth based traditions will uplift, inspire, and guide us to step more fully into our true purpose and our own unique path in answering the call to sacred service. Each one of us is a carrier of wisdom and medicine and the potential for change and healing in our world. Together, in unity and service, we can illuminate the way forward for our human family today and for all of our relations in the generations to come. This gathering is brought to you by Shaman's Directory, a vibrant and growing nonprofit global platform dedicated to bringing shamanic earth based services to the world's doorstep. Together, we are powerful medicine. I am Mayumi Beckers, one of your hosts at the Cosmic Fire, and I'm deeply honored to welcome Rakel Sanimuinaq. Welcome, Raquel. Thank you for being with us here.
Thank you so much for having me.
And before we begin, I would love to take you through a little background story of Raquel so you get to know a little bit more about her. Rakel was born and raised in Itokortormit in northeastern Greenland. When she was only 4 years old, she told her mother that she would become a shaman. Growing up, she often heard stories about her family's shamanic lineage and was deeply curious about what this heritage meant for their descendants. In 2012, she began her journey to truly understand how her ancestors lived and perceived the universe as an interconnected whole. She left modern society to immerse herself in nature and to learn directly from it. From Silap Apa, the other worlds, and the teachings they hold. In 2019, she received her healer name, Rakel, and was initiated into the ancient lineage as an Angakok shaman. Since then, she has dedicated herself to bridging the spirit world and the modern human experience, finding ways to apply ancient wisdom in today's world. Through these profound and timeless methods of healing, Raquel helps people reconnect with their souls, something that has long been hidden or forbidden in many ways. As she teaches, a soul that is whole is in balance with the world and in balance with itself. Raquel is featured in a beautiful, multiple award winning documentary film, The Eternal Song, by filmmakers Zaya and Maurizio Benazzo of Science and Non-Duality SAND. And the topic for our conversation is When Pain Becomes Your Teacher. So again, Raquel, I'm truly honored to have you here today to be able to share your stories and your profound wisdom here with our audience. And we at Shaman's Directory have seen your most awe-inspiring film, The Eternal Song, and it's a film that we all truly believe everyone should see because of its profound educational value that it has on the consequences of colonization and also intergenerational trauma, but also for the ultimate betterment for our world. And your story in particular really deeply touched me. And I would like to reflect on the title of your talk, Pain as Your Teacher. And to begin our conversation, would you like to share something about how your personal experience of pain guide you toward healing and to walking your path of service?
Definitely, yes. I was born into my mother's pain and her mother's pain. And what's unique about East Greenland that we were colonized not long, but not that long compared to other places. that they came in late 1800s to East Greenland. So it only reaches my great grandparents. So the pain started with them that had to leave their ways of life who were shamans and leading their lives according to the spirit, and how my mom had to adapt her own abilities to Christianity, to the society that were put upon us. And she was brought up during what I call the silenced time, where we were not able to speak about our culture, our pain. We just had to adapt. So I was brought up with my mother's pain and her silence and her telling me not to speak about my abilities. And that also made me shut down my own abilities for many years. And it brought so much pain to me and my soul and my life that in the end, I couldn't cope anymore with this. I couldn't function without accepting that I am this soul born to be of service, but imprisoned within myself and having very little connection to my ancestors and to the land because it was forbidden. So when I couldn't cope anymore with that, trying to do what civilization told me, well, we have the system of psychiatry, we have the system of psychologists, we have the system of trying to find mindfulness in the civilized world, where we have cut down nature, and when we cut down nature, spirits leave the place. So I was seeking healing in all the ways I could within the civilized world, and after 18 years I was worse than ever. So I gave up trying to find a way and went home to Greenland. I was in Denmark at that time. I went back home to Greenland to my mom and I begged her, please, mom, teach me. Teach me what you know from your parents and from your grandparents, because everything else hasn't worked for me. So with that teaching, that the pain that I carried and the healing that I needed was actually to be connected. That the pain was telling me your soul is starving, your person is starving, and having nowhere to find it because the system of these roads that are just carved into nature and these building upon land, and the very scarce connection that I found there was just not enough for a soul that just needed to be filled with the power of nature. So she went into teaching with me. She accepted in the end. And I spent a month in Itaqatamid just being in trance nonstop for 2 months. It was a crazy time where I saw destinies, I saw the earth, I saw everything. And I was like, I had to catch up to what I had missed. I was supposed to start my teachings at age 4. So I was 27 at the time when I started the teachings, and it was like I had to catch up with what I had missed out on. And I call it the download of of the knowledge that our ancestors carried, the unbroken knowledge that we all have in our ancestry. And from then on, just this calm started, and I was like, this is going to be a long road. The stories about it takes 20 years, 10 years to be in teachings. And I was like, I have no clue what I'm doing. I just know that nothing else works for me. And I had been highly Christian for a number of years. I had been fully into trying to adapt to the world. And now that I left that world, I also lost everything, all my friends and family, she has lost it. That's the idea of people decolonizing and accepting spirit, it's something not acceptable in the colonized world. So that was also a pain that I had to go through, like feeling like, well, I don't belong in this world. And it really showed that I don't. And starting to go into nature and actually start to recognize and get to know and have a relation with the nature, all the cycles of of the sun, the moon, the autumn, winter, spring, summer, all of that, that is a natural part of who you are, and which we unknowingly still follow. You know, we still wake up during the day, we still have full moon and new moon, we still have the seasons in the society, but we, you know, turn on the lights and go inside. You know, we adapt still to that part that we cannot synthetically change. um, but to actually understand that our soul functions in that cycle of nature, that it's part of our evolving soul, that are growing from this baby to youngling to early adulthood. Those cycles are deeply embedded in us. So to find calm within the waves of the ocean, and to feel the wind also carrying away parts that don't belong with my inner world anymore. To go to the teachings of nature, which is the memory of our ancestors. We bury our ancestors in ground. It's in there. So for me, it was, yes, going through this immense pain of abandoning myself to society, and to learn that there is a way out of the entanglement of our soul and the soul loss that it can cause for you. And to actually see that there is soothing within the complete natural order of nature and soul. So it took years and years. I took 3 years out of my life and just went to nature all all the time. No, barely any human contact. And during that time, I was like understanding that the ceremonies and the ways that our ancestors had the connection with the spirits and nature was to uphold our natural soul, our spirit, that it was a way of containing us in safety and balance, and to actually learn how to bring that spirit within, to let go of this part of you that are constantly questioning and asking and seeking, and just be. And that's something that requires a lot of determination, that yes, I need to find a way out of my pain. And yes, the system in society and civilization might work for some, but some people have this shamanic illness that I call it, that there is no other way but to go deep into nature and spirit and actually seek help from what society don't understand. So I felt that I was also letting society down. I was letting everyone down because I am not doing as you tell me to do. And that part was also to say, okay, I need to be here and to not listen to what everyone says. Because listening and doing what I'm told only gave me more pain. So, um, so pain forced me into survival, and that survival made me go into nature and to leave, abandon everything, and say, okay, I have no other option but to ask, what do I have to do? But and that's the part where maybe the difference with the lineage is that we were forced to abandon it, and it created this pain. And to have pain as a teacher might sound heavy and all that, but the transformation of understanding, oh wow, this ocean is deep, this ocean brings me life, and it's like, wow, epiphany. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times over and over again. Every time the pain overwhelmed me, and I went to nature and asked for help. How ocean is sustaining life for us, also on a soul level. We know that food feeds us, it feeds our body. We forget that food is from nature, and we go to nature and get fed here in our soul. So that's how pain taught me to abandon the life that I abandoned myself in again and again. So this part is also about surrendering to something that you don't know what actually is, but to to actually say, okay, I'm just human, I don't know what to do, show me.
Mhm. Yes, I can feel your journey. It's been like quite a, yeah, profound one, I think. And it touches me really like how to, yeah, how you've been sharing this and through the pain also, but you know, the deepest lessons that we also get out of it. And you've been also speaking a little bit about colonization part and decolonization as one of your teachers here. And what does that mean to you on the spiritual level? I know you've been talking about the cycles, but how can this process help humanity remember its connection to the earth and the soul?
Well, the thing about colonization, that the pain, the root cause of that was colonization, that the soul that we have as a theory in the Western worldview, while in my culture, in my ancestors, the soul was the core being, the most important part of you. So decolonization was to actually figure out that the one that looks through my eyes and listens and talks, that's the soul, that's me. And who is that person? You know, what is my soul, and why is it in pain? You know, and all of that, that the abandonment that colonization forces us to do is actually to reverse that and actually start to be with what we in psychology call the inner child, which is what I understand the soul, you know, the one that we abandon all the time, and to be with that being, and to live with that being in everyday life. This, I am a soul, I am this being, and to grow that power, the soul, the forces of that, that we have these primal forces within, the light, the fire, that actually led me to abandon my pain. You know, the abandoned society was this life force that wants to burn. And decolonizing is to address the trauma of Christianity. And that's the core, that we have to believe in this higher being, and we pray to that. And of course, if it suits you, it's perfectly fine. You do that. But I am not a lost soul if I don't believe in that. And that's also to stand in the right of being different and having a different faith, um, a different belief system, which is, I listen to this and let that guide me together with the higher beings that we call Sila, you know, that the creator of the universe, that we give so many names. Mine is Sila, but others call it God, Allah, or Buddha, or what suits you. But it is equal. And to decolonize is to to look at, well, how did our ancestors survive in this high Arctic world? And they survived because they knew how to stay in power in a world, in a nature that is so harsh. And to enter, to let the shaman enter and be the connection between you and nature and spirits, and let them be guiding you to stay in a good relation with you, with your fellow humans and nature, and to bring the ceremonies and be a part of it and say, well, the year that just passed, we have this new year starting, the sun year, when it disappears and come back. It's a ceremonial time. It's an important time where we actually heal and rebalance the year that passed. This ceremony is about not coping with what happened, but actually heal all the time with the seasons, following the seasons, and keeping the balance, so that when something happened 3 years ago, it's not with me anymore. The shaman made sure that I stay in balance. So we continue as human beings in their full power and not affected by the past anymore. That's the decolonization understanding, that the seasons that comes, and to do what seasons do, which is to renew and to let the higher beings step into our lives, and maybe in modern words, clean up in ceremony, so we don't have to carry the burdens of the history of our lives, and go into future with hope and strength and dreams, and calling on, following our destiny as we are supposed to. That decolonization is that we have a destiny and we have a responsibility, and to uphold that responsibility is also to know that I am born into this world with a purpose, and in order to fulfill my purpose is also to be in balance and be at service with one another. That these ancient rules didn't disappear with colonization, that we are still this soul that are living according, needs to function, that functions with the old rules, and we have adapted to different rules that doesn't belong to the soul.
Yes. It's very, yeah, profound again, like how you talk about decolonization in a, yeah, another way, in a more spiritual way as well, like, yeah, how to move forward as well, and um, yeah, uphold the traditions and the cosmic, yeah, life force of the universe and nature. And yes, it's so important.
Another thing I want to add is that the modern um, religions are about connecting with the as above, the realm of the ancestors, the higher beings. But in shamanism, you need to go down to the deep underground, what we call darkness. And the darkness is the unknown, the subconscious, where the healing actually happens. That we have these beings in the so below that are the ones who helps us to get our soul power back. So
Mhm.
that part is also what makes this so scary, that we are afraid of the unknown. And to get in connection and to decolonize is to meet and address that fear and say, well, I don't know what's on the other side, but I'm going to give it a chance. So, and having trauma up is affecting that fear. It makes it like, oh, this is dangerous. But in reality, you're bringing light to the unknown so that you can get back what you lost to life's circumstances. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, and it's so much also in line with the title of your subject as well, about pain, and to also decolonize these aspects of ourselves as well, and also the hidden parts of ourselves, and to, bring that more into the surface, and to create more awareness and understanding. And I know from your story here that you've been, yeah, very in deep connection with nature, and on your journey, and you have many allies. And on your medicine path, you have, like, yeah, learned from spirits and animals, winds, and also the holders of all of these ancient wisdom traditions. And my question is, like, what is one of the greatest lessons that these teachers have shown you about being in right relationship with all of life?
I think the first teacher I had, um, teaching I had, was when I first met the mother of the sea. I was about to laugh because I thought it was silly and she's just a bedtime story. And to actually meet her and understanding that she is this being that are here to help and serve uh, nature and our relation, and to sit with that meeting afterwards where I felt how strong a helper she is, how she was helping me to get in balance with the world and nature, how all I had done breaking taboos, and how she was just mending that connection. And I was like, she is sacred. She is this beautiful, beautiful being in what we in society would call an angel of some kind, you know? And I was like, the shame I have about my culture and what I come from is the most important and sacred part of me. It's my story. And know how my mother and my great grandmother were shamed for their abilities, anekige, which is um, you know, derogatory word for a shaman. And I was like, this shaming had also led me to not take our culture serious in any way. And I was like, I had to shift my whole understanding of life, of my worldview. It was turned upside down, and I was like, okay, if she is real, what else is real? Everything I have been taught is a lie. And all of a sudden, all these being this, when you said that those allies, this the spirit team, as I call them, my army, as I also call them when I go into dangerous work, which is to actually start to honor what I come from, and to have the utmost respect and put the ancestors where they belong, where I bow to them and say, thank you for bringing me to earth. Thank you for leading me. And to bring that gratefulness to what we come from. This uneven we have between, this is the accepted way of life in today's world. This is what you should believe, this is who you should be, and this is how you should live. And to actually understand that what we come from is equal and is essential, that the uprising that the colonized world needs is the uprising to say, well, we are equals. And no matter what people say or think, it doesn't change. This is humans who has lost their way of understanding how the spirit world works, and to figure out, well, who are we actually? um, my Berida, my tattooer, the first tattoo I got, when she finished that, she looked at me, no, the last part, she looked at me and said, "We eat predators for breakfast." And that's basically on top of decolonization, is also to live in a world where you meet predators. Still today, so much lateral violence between people, because we have learned that our culture is um, you know, is a ridicule. So the first thing you meet, or at least when I started, was ridicule. And I knew that because my great grandmother had rocks thrown at her for being who she is. Um, I say is because he's alive to me. um, so the moment in 2019 when I was told you have to call yourself a shaman and you will use the name Rakel as protection from what will happen to you, you will be the first uh, of our lineage that will rise again, and you will take all the hurt, all the shame, and all that on behalf of your children that will also carry this ability. So for me, decolonization has been to push away and say, I am here too, you know, and you cannot shut me down. I have already died. I've tried everything. You have no choice but to accept that I'm here. Because if I don't do this, we will disintegrate, we will disappear forever. There is no choice but to walk the path. So decolonization was to force myself into the traumas of my people and to be thrown rocks at from everyone, basically, um, so that this the hurt stopped with me. My children has a right to be here, and I will fight for their right to be who they are. That's decolonization for me, to bury my way up from, yeah, silencing.
Yeah, I think from what I'm hearing here, it's yeah, really inspiring as well about like decolonization. And I think it can be maybe reflected in, every person here on Earth because we're all affected by it in one way or another. And to really go into the depth of everything in ourselves and to really find ourselves and to yeah fight for ourselves as well of who we are and who we are came to be here on earth. So yeah, thank you for sharing this. Mm. You also mentioned that service, being in service is often sort of misunderstood in the modern world. And from your lineage and experience, what does it really mean to be in service?
Yes, I I mentioned that we are born with a responsibility, and there can be this idea that these shamans, that is this cape that we can take when we go into ceremony or work, that we are these higher beings that are just whew, but in reality we are nobody, we are no one, we are nothing, but we can go and ask for help. That's our task. We are not nothing special, we are just humans just like everyone else. And the illusion of a guru and all that is because the natural understanding of what a shaman is has been erased And when someone then connects back again, it's easy for people to climb on their backs, because modern religion makes you, to give your power to the church and the priest, and they have all power, they know everything. But in reality, this service that we do is to bring back the power to the person themselves. And the moment the task is done, it's closed and we are back to being humans. So there is a lot of ideas of these humans, are these people that we need to look up to. But in reality, what the those who walk between worlds needs the most is to just be human when we are not actively working, because the grounding and the humility is also an important teacher in this. That the moment we abandon, and our task and our responsibility, where we have to take care of the spirit and all that, and get this idea that we are higher beings as well, is actually a wound. It's a trauma that is playing out in your life. So heal that and get back, back to nature, and stand in the ground and say, okay, I lost my way. I the first time I had my ego death, when I was eaten the first time and died, I didn't know what I was doing. So I called my mom and told her, Mom, I think I'm going to die. I died in my drum journey. And she was like, what are you talking about? Well, please take care of my kids, because I'm going to die. And she was like, Aviaya, what is happening? That's my personal name. And I was like, I died in my drum journey. I'm going to die. And then she was like, P, girl, it just means that you're starting your apprenticeship as a shaman. You're not going to die. And the moment she said that, megalonomia started, kicked in. And I went from being this afraid little mouse that was like, I'm going to die. And the next second, I was like, I'm going to be the best shaman in the world. I'm so powerful, I can do anything. And when my mom saw me in that state, she was like looking at me like, I could just see she was like, what's going on with her? So she told me, well, let's go outside. And because we were in South Greenland, the trees in Narsarsuaq. And she sat me down outside and we were looking at the trees, and it was fall. And she was like, I am nobody. I looked at her, what? I am absolutely no one. I'm a nobody. I'm nothing. And I was like, Mom, what are you talking about? And but that moment sat with me for the reminder of my time in apprenticeship, that none of this work has anything to do with me. I have no power. I have nothing. I can open and ask for help and let them do the work. I have nothing, and that's the part where the big misunderstanding I think I see again and again and again is to use your spiritual ability for self-importance, which is the trauma response for having lost a part of you to society, where you're not seen as who you really are. That's, yeah.
Yes, thank you for sharing this important teaching. And when you were talking, I also got reminded about, the word human. We need to be human, and humility is part of being human. And yes, we are all part of each other, and it's not that it's all comes from us, but yeah, you are the empty vessel of spirit and nature, that empowers you to be of service, right? To be of service to those who may need some support. And yeah, I think that's really
Um,
wonderful. Mhm.
Thank you. The self-destruction is essential for them to be able to work with you. So the teaching is just to, the service is to service of them, allowing them to enter our destinies and let them work. So yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you for sharing that experience also with your mother. Yes. And you also say that stories are not about belief, but about remembering. And how can we as humans begin to remember and to really reconnect with ourselves in a world that has forgotten or doesn't know anymore how to really listen?
The way I see things right now, it always changes as we grow in our wisdom, that we all have cultural backgrounds, and those before colonization, that we have a lot of stories that we might not see as anything else than, bedtime stories, just like I did. um, but they carry a significance to nature around us, that there are stories about how life functions and how to actually carry ourselves, um, as human beings, as souls, in respect for one another and ourselves. So I advise people to look into their cultures to 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 get an understanding of how the soul functions and works, and how our mistakes can make consequences for you and for people around you. That these often moral stories have a deeper background than we understand, and um, that this connection with nature, that we have different cultures around the world because we were living in different parts of nature, and that nature is what speaks to us through our cultures. That's how they express themselves. That these spirits that are around you, where you come from, where you live, is what came to be the stories. So the roots of our souls belongs to that culture. And there are even older cultures behind that, but that's where we evolved into. So the respect for what we come from is also to respect that the teachings that comes with the stories are a part of taking care of how, upholding your responsibility as the soul that has to be in line with your destiny, and to not disrupt that by unknowingly and knowingly, um, go into other people's destinies by telling them who they should be and should not be. That's also part of that we have to know the natural order of how a soul functions, and those stories is a part of that.
Mhm. Yes. Yes, really going back to ourselves and really being rooted and deeply listening to ourselves and where we come from. Yes, we really, yeah, reconnect with our true selves and our true nature. Yes, thank you. And I also want to mention here, of course, because you are featured in this most beautiful film, The Eternal Song, and I would love to, yeah, I would love for you to share here how you became involved in the film and what it meant to be part of this sort of really meaningful global, offering.
Yeah, it actually started with my great grandmother. She was forced to get baptized, and before she went into baptism, she had asked the ancestors, is this it? Now that I get baptized and the lineage is severed, is this it? What's going to happen to us? Is this silencing just going to be forever? Are we just going to disappear? And the ancestors told her one day the world would look at you and ask who you are. So when I was 17, my mom and I had a session where we connected, and she told me one day the whole world would look at you and 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 see who you are. So I forgot all about that. But when I was quite new into stepping out as a shaman, the tip of the sword of our ancestors was to say, I'm a shaman, to do the most forbidden part, um, which led to connections with people around the world. And Saya had seen an interview that Helena Soholm had held with me on YouTube. And she saw that and she wrote me and asked me if I would be interested in working with them. And we had an interview where they looked at how I came to be, and I fit their model of what they seeked. People who has gone through so much trauma that they awaken to the ancestors and help their peers with healing with the ancestral knowledge. So it was destiny. That's to not to make it bigger than it is. So yeah, it was settled long before us.
Yes, and yeah, it was already shown to you much earlier than you actually were aware of it. Yes. Yeah, and it's such a beautiful film, and I'm really excited, that we're all able to, of course, see it. And I also want to, yeah, share a little bit here about the Eternal Song because it really deeply speaks about the colonial legacies, about the disconnection and also reconnection, as you're also sharing here about decolonization. So I want to ask you, like, how do you see your role in the film helping communities to reconnect more with themselves and the land and spirit and the collective memory that we hold?
What I see is I my father died 3 hours before our filming. My stepfather, and all that I had planned just vanished, and I just went into my deepest pain, and I told that. And I think that having no restrictions on what I said was also to give an insight to just being human, that you all that this connection requires is for you to be honest. That yes, we can go into you know mirrors and all that, but here it's to shed everything and just meet yourself honestly. That's what is for me the most important part of connection with the spirits, is to just be fully you and nothing else. Mhm.
Very beautifully said. Yes, it's so important to be really so true to yourself and honesty. My cats sort of jumped on me when you were talking about that. Yes, such an important message here for all of us. And thank you for, sharing and opening yourself up. It's been really beautiful to, yeah, hear your story here in the film is very powerful. And I want to also ask you if there's any ritual or prayer or practice that you might like to share with our summit audience so they can, yeah, that can assist them to follow their path of service or deepening their path?
One of the things that I often meet when people are asking, how do I connect with my ancestors? Um, and what I say might be controversial, but that this is the experience that I have, that baptism actually, yes, it is a protection. It connects you with the higher world, but it also makes, removes you from connection with your ancestors and nature, which is good when that faith is true to who you are. But to reconnect when you realize that, well, I do belong with the nature and spirits within that realm, that the connection needing to be reconnected. I take a piece of string and I put it around my left hand here. And then I say my full name, because your full name is your soul, your full name is who you are. And then I think of my ancestors before me, not just my grandparents or great grandparents. I think all the way back to the first human beings, to those who have given life to us, to all of us. And I see the string as the umbilical cord that I bind, I say loud to them, help me to see, help me to understand, help me to reconnect with you and get guidance from you. And when I bind this 3 times, the first knot I say is, you are me. The next knot is, I am you. And the third knot is, we are one. And to hold that binding on your wrist is to say, let it be, let it happen, it is done. To have that connection where you say, I have in a little ceremony with myself and you can light a candle, bind them to you. So whenever you have a question for life, how do I do this? Ask them. It's the connection between you and your ancestors, the inner knowledge, the wisdom you carry. It is just as much them speaking to you, leading you, guiding you. Give the questions to them. This umbilical cord is to help you to listen. Because when you have that tiny little string between you and them, it's like getting the messages back and forth. You only have to think and they will hear.
Yes, what a beautiful practice. And I see and sense here your strong connection with the ancestors and, of course, your traditions here. And I really honor this very much. And thank you so much. And I just want to give you also another opportunity here if there's anything that you would like to share that you think is important for our summit audience to know before we close.
I will say we seek answers in the world, but the most wise parts of the human being is here. We all have it here. In the primordial force that goes through everything is here. Nothing out there can give you anything you need. It's all here.
Thank you, Raquel. And yes, thank you for the teaching. It's simple, but it is very important and profound. And for addressing this and for us to remind us to, yeah, be here and, yeah, be connected with ourselves and nature and our ancestry. So thank you so much. And I also want to ask you about your upcoming offerings for, what you offer yourself that you would like to share with our audience, perhaps, what's coming up maybe for you next year, or how people what can find out more about you.
You can find me on Instagram, Rakel Angekel, or Facebook, also Rakel Angekel, and TikTok, the modern shaman with the ancient knowledge. So you can find me there on social media, and any upcoming arrangements will be posted there. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Yes, so we're absolutely honored to be collaborating with Science and Non-Duality, SAND, for this film, The Eternal Song, and that we are featuring it for this summit at the Cosmic Fire 2025 Summit. So to be partnering up with you and with them is wonderful, and we are absolutely delighted as well that our audience will be able to receive this beautiful gift of a limited time online film screening of The Eternal Song this week. And that features you, Raquel, and also other amazing wisdom keepers from around the world. So thank you, Raquel, for being part of this beautiful gift.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
For all the viewers, please also make sure to scroll down below this summit interview to find the links how to follow and learn more about Raquel's work. And also keep an eye out for the summit schedule to watch the film screening as well. And for myself and everyone of Shaman's Directory, I want to deeply thank you, Raquel, for being with us here, for your generosity, and yes, bringing all of your ancestry here as well, and all of the wisdom that is being moving through you. And it's really been such an honor and a beauty to be here with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And to everyone who is here and participating, thank you for being with us here and to really receive all this beauty and wisdom and inspiration from Raquel. And we hope that you will join us for our next interviews around the cosmic fire.